Question 6. I call on the Honourable Member for Onchan, Ms Edge.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'd like to ask the Chief Minister if he'll make a statement on meetings of the Council of Ministers and the advice received relating to returning students and family visits at Christmas.
On the Chief Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Council of Ministers has and continues to discuss students returning to the island and visits by immediate family of residents at Christmas as part of the Government's response to the pandemic. As the Honourable Member will be aware, the proceedings of Council of Ministers are confidential. However, as is clear to anyone observing the situation in the United Kingdom, we are at a heightened risk of import of COVID-19 due to the current rates of transmission in the United Kingdom, with the North West sadly having significant prevalence of the virus. With regards to students returning to the island, as with any other resident, they will be required to isolate for 14 days on entry to the island. Turning to visits by family or residents, I, as much as anyone, will be delighted when we are in a position to allow this to happen. But any such decision has to be taken having regard to the threat that this could bring in terms of the health of our population and the potential impact upon our healthcare capacity. We have striven to reach the situation we now find ourselves in. Compared to most other jurisdictions, the Isle of Man and its people have significant freedoms and as close to a sense of normal as is possible within the context of the global pandemic. We risk this at our peril. With the current transmission rates in the United Kingdom, and particularly in the North West, where many of those that travel to the island would begin their journey, the risk of COVID-19 entering our community is high. If we let our guard down, not only would we put life at risk, we could very well trigger the need to put in place restrictions across our community. Such restrictions bring social and economic harm. Honourable members, myself and the Council of Ministers are deeply aware of the strain that not being able to see close family is having on so many in our community. We know that this is very difficult for all sorts of reasons. As soon as the risk is sufficiently low, informed by data and advice from Public Health and the Department of Health and Social Care, we will move to allowing immediate family of our residents to enter the island by moving to level 3A of the Borders Framework. Thank you.
Supplementary question, Mr Thomas.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Clearly, the proceedings of the Council of Ministers are confidential under Section 6 of the Council of Ministers Act, unless, with the leave of the Chief Minister, proceedings and information about those proceedings is divulged. Can the Chief Minister very helpfully has mentioned in public workshops that the Council of Ministers has been having about these issues, and he's identified the date of one in public as being the 29th of October about this very issue. Can the Chief Minister advise whether he, for the purposes of clarity, transparency, better understanding, trust, can the Chief Minister advise whether he'll provide the evidence and inform the decision-making on the Council of Ministers workshop at the 29th of October so that people, families, students and all of those concerned can better understand this decision that's been made?
Chief Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I would hope that all members trust the Council of Ministers. At the end of the day, we are just elected members, like yourselves, doing our very best for the people of the Isle of Man. We have had meetings on the 1st of October where we had a workshop, on the 29th of October where we had a workshop, the 5th of November where we had a meeting, and we will be discussing it again on the 12th of November. Not only that, we did give a presentation to all Tynwald members yesterday where the entire workshop that the Council of Ministers had was presented to all Tynwald members.
Question, Ms Edge.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the Chief Minister for his extensive answer, but with regards to immediate family and compassionate reasons, I have concerns that some residents who perhaps work off island are still being refused being able to return to the island on compassionate reasons. And I wonder whether the Chief Minister could circulate to members the criteria for a compassionate reason so that the public are very aware of what the compassionate reasons are. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Chief Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm more than happy to circulate to all members in this honourable court and in the Tynwald members too.
Question, Mr Thomas.
Thank you. Mr Speaker. So 2 questions. The first one is that 3 workshops have been identified then. Can the Chief Minister, as he's enabled to do under the legislation, state that the scientific evidence, the scientific methodology will be divulged for those 3 workshops? And the second question is, obviously Section 6 also mentions the Freedom of Information Act, and I think actually a Freedom of Information Act request for that very methodology in terms of compassionate grounds was actually turned down under the Freedom of Information Act. So can the Chief Minister advise that he will actually circulate the methodology that's used for the review of those decisions? And I just want to put on record that the team, the officers, are doing an incredible job. They are showing massive empathy with people who are dealing in this situation. I wanted to thank them for that. It's great news that 2/3 of people have actually been able to get grounds, but it would be helpful to know for the other third what the grounds that are being used on the review process.
It's an opportunity for questions, not speeches. Chief Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I think the Honourable Member was slightly confused. There was 2 workshops and 1 meeting on the dates. Just for a clarification point of view, he said there was 3 workshops. But yes, I have asked to see if we can share all of the technical data with Honourable Members. A lot was shared yesterday with Honourable Members that Council of Ministers are privy to, and if there's any more from a technical point of view, I'm more than happy to share that with Honourable Members.
Supplementary, Dr Allinson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Would the Chief Minister agree with me that nobody wants to be in the situation we find ourselves at the moment, but it is for the benefit of our community and the safety of the people of the Isle of Man? Would he also agree with me that there is a huge amount of information already on the government website, which is updated regularly by some very hard-working civil servants who, as the Honourable Member for Douglas Central has said, have gone beyond the call of duty really in dealing with some very difficult individual cases on compassionate grounds? Thank you.
Chief Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And first of all, it was very remiss of me not to respond to the Honourable Member for Douglas Central regarding the exceptionally hard work that all of people working to help combat COVID-19 on the island do. We have a fantastic group of people working in bronze, silver, gold, our medics, advisors in health and social care, and all our frontline services doing their utmost to keep the Isle of Man in the exceptionally good position that we find ourselves in, and their work is to be absolutely commended, and I have nothing but respect for what they do. As I say, we have placed an awful lot of information on our website advising people. We give a regular briefing to all members of the public and Timor members on a Thursday, and if there's any more technical data that we can share, then I'm more than happy to do so.